Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you guys today to share, not actually share, but to discuss with you guys some bad practices that we think uh, we can together apply to automation testing. So our presenter today gonna be I'm Tai Nguyen. He's the sales engineer guy at Katalon who help for the user and customer who gets you to with the product and me this I'm VP of product at Katalon. I'm in charge of Katalon Studio development. So this is the first episode for the series of test automation best practices that we plan to have upcoming. So we try to make something different with the other webinar that we do before in such a way that we would love to have more interaction with all the people and have all the people who join the webinar not just to listen to the information but also share with everyone about Katalon Studio, about your experience with automation testing. So really excited to be here with you guys today. All right, so for the agenda of the webinar today, first of all, I will do a real quick introduction about Katalon and Katalon Studio, and then we come to the main part of the webinar, including the best practices. So first of all, we're gonna share with you guys some practices that we have how to review the test script for better test management and maintenance. So there are many ways. There are three techniques about test case calling, custom keyword, and test listener. We share with you, and we have like some demo and some example to show the idea. And secondly, we're gonna share with you is about how to utilize the API for making our test execution or making our test script become more effective. With API, we can do with test data processing. We can have to validate the test execution result, and we can also replay for a segment of UI script. So it's a thing that we would love to share with you guys today. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to give a brief introduction about Katalon. Hopefully it can give some information to people who haven't a chance to use Katalon Studio or haven't know about Katalon yet. So with Katalon, we aim to deliver a whole solution for automation testing, for making your product become higher quality and deliver faster. So Katalon Studio is the core product in our solution right now. It's an automation testing tool that can help you to do automation for various kind of end applications, such as like API, mobile, web, and desktop testing. So with Katalon Studio, you can work on not only Windows and Mac, but you can also work on Linux. So that's something that I'm really proud to be part of Katalon Studio, because when you have your application can work and you can develop in different OS, you can leverage on the resources and you don't need to change the environment that you're familiar with in order to work with our tool. So it's make using Katalon more effective for your for project and your company. So with Katalon Studio, we have the way to help you generate test better with API, mobile, web, and desktop. But other than Katalon Studio, we also have other toolset in the automation testing pipeline. So we have like Katalon Recorder and Katalon, which also are the product that can help you generate tests with different platform. We also have Katalon Test Op. This is a reporting and analytic tool, which can help you give the overview about the quality of your execution as well as the quality of your product. And then it can help you make better decision to improve your product. So other than that, in Katalon, we aim to cover as much, at many and environment, testing environment as we can. So we cover for Android and iOS in the latest versions. And other than that, we cover for Chrome, Firefox, at Chromium, and all the popular browser out there. And and one of the good thing that we have right now is that Katalon is also available on cloud platforms such as like AWS or Azure DevOps. So um, you can use Katalon anywhere. It's just not installed on your machines and uses, but with the being that we available on cloud, you can access to Katalons and use everywhere. So that the quick introduction that I have for Katalon, and hope you guys can quickly catch us some idea about our platform. So don't get you guys waste any more time. Can you have start with the reusing tag artifact practices?
Yeah, sure. So let me handle from this point. Yeah.
Okay,
So can you stop sharing so that I can have access to my screen sharing?
okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So let's get started with my part over here. Okay, so today I will try my best to convey as much as possible in my 15-minute of alone time of, my first best practice over here. That is reusing of the test artifacts. So what we mean by reusing the test artifacts. So basically test artifact is your test cases, custom keyword or test suite. So because if you are a QA guys or you are a developer guys, there's no one that's want to writing the test case over and over and over again for one simple steps, right? So we always need to find a way to reuse all the test cases into making another test case much more faster. So for example, if you are making one test case and the precondition is always like logging to that homepage or something like that, so you need to find a way to reuse that test case, right? So Katalon provide you the method and the tools for you to do all of that in the most simplest way. So without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into this session and tell you more about that. So why do we need to reuse the test artifacts? So the first thing, the most obvious thing is gonna have you to create all the test cases faster because you're gonna reuse another test case to create a new test case. The second thing is gonna be you just need to not to maintain that much of test case if you are reusing the old test case. So when anything happen, all you need to do is just to maintain it at one point in your project. And maybe it's, yeah, and surely it's gonna help you to gradually increase the performance of the tool if you use all the reusing of the test artifact correctly. So let's go to another slide and let me explain for you what I mean by this slide. Okay. So the first thing I want to tell you about is if you're if you guys get familiar with the test automation field, you might have know about the term of the test of the page object model before, right? And basically, Katalon is built upon this model, but there's maybe another, because Katalon has been out there on the market for like 5 years already. So there's a lot of misuse of this practice inside Katalon Studio. So if you might have know about Katalon Studio, so there's the part we call the custom keyword. And there's a lot of people that apply the pay object model inside the custom keyword. And so that you're gonna build the packet and then you're gonna store the based on the page inside the custom keyword, and everything you're gonna store under the keywords level. So what's the what's the advantage of this approaching? So it's gonna be programmatically easy to understand if you are the programmer or if you are some kind of senior QA engineer, and it's gonna strictly follow the pay object model. If you coming to Katalon Studio from another framework using Selenium. But there's a lot of disadvantages. So it's gonna be hard for the newcomer, fresher QA engineer that getting into your project and know what is really going on underneath the hood. The second thing is gonna be is reduce the performance on some level. If you're calling from the custom keyword level, it's gonna be a little bit slower than you calling it using the test cases. And I will try to make this clear for you after this part. Uh, and another most obviously thing is gonna be the class initiative. What I mean by class initiative is either new keyword if you are familiar with Java. And the team had to follow the process strictly or the pay object model kind of get messy really soon. And because of all of that disadvantages, Catalan gonna have you to recommend this practice. So basically, pace object model gonna be stored in the test case and object repository level, and the keyword is just gonna use for adding the capability only. Uh, so with this approach, it's gonna actually help you to having the codeless approach, and it's gonna be much more easier to use and with the better performance. But there's always a disadvantages, and this one is gonna be your team had to follow this process as strictly as the pace object model common practice out there, because if you're not doing that, then your project gonna get messy really soon. Okay, so let me elaborate on what I had just told you. So this is what it looked like if you apply the pace object model using Katalon Studio. So when you're seeing inside the test cases, all the common test script is gonna store by using the page. So that's really pace object model, right? So all of the common test case like login or some action that you're gonna do on some specific page is gonna store inside the test cases level. And when you want to reuse it, all you need to do is just to drag and drop it. And I'm gonna show you on the demo later. And for the object repository, it's gonna be the same. Then you can, but it has something more advanced. So if you want to do it with the dynamic object, so you're gonna store it under the dynamic object folder. And if you are using the static object, then you need to store it under the static object folder, but it still applies strictly the pace object model. So you can see it here is still based on the page of the project. Okay, so this is my mock project. So don't worry about the page name. Okay, so but before elaborating into all the thing, I gonna show you how to design the test case. So based on this flow, when you create the test case, you're gonna need to consider using the command action. And if you want to use the common action, then you need to create a common test case. So that's the reason why we have this label here. And for example, if there's some missing in under the keyword, so for example, the built-in keyword that's provided by Katalon is not enough, then you need to implement more of the custom keyword. So that's why. So there's no pay object model under the keyword level anymore, but the keyword is just help you to adding more function, more capability into the pool of the built-in keyword of Katalon Studio. Okay. Okay, so without further talking about all of this, I'm gonna go directly into Katalon Studio and show you what's gonna happen. So there's two scenarios that I want to mention here. The first scenario is kind of using the old approaching of the pay object model. And you can see that it is getting a lot of messing here, right? Because right now you need to store every action on the page, and all of that is going to be represented by a keyword, a function, instead of something that's really simple to see like you guys seeing here. A test case with a description that everyone can go into and look and know, okay, what does mean, right? And even when you want to reuse the test case, it's gonna be really hard if you do it under the keyword level, right? But if you're doing it on this level, I'm gonna show you how to do that. So basically, if you want to have some task related to the admin page, for example, I give it a name like this. And all I need to do is just to find something in the comment page, put it in, find something in the admin page, put it in, and find something on the another thing on the admin page and put it in. Okay, so I can create a test case by this really simple step, and it's really the code-like approach, right? Okay, so that's the meaning for when we want to having like a pay object model using Katalon Studio. All right. So, and for example, if when we look at this level of the test case, the common test case level, you can see this one is the built-in keyword of Katalon Studio, right? But if you are missing some of the capability from Katalon Studio, you always can go into this keyword and then you create a custom keyword. Okay, and then all you need to do is to go back into this test case and then call the custom keyword. Okay, and you can select from the pool of custom keyword over here. It's already ready for you. Okay. Okay, so that's one is for the practice of using the pay object model for Katalon Studio. We're gonna have the Q&A session after this, so feel free to ask your question. Okay, so I'm gonna continue on to the next item. That's what I want to share with you. So, okay, so the last thing that I want to share with you guys is about the test listener. So for example, if you already using all the tests we're using, but it's still kind of repetitive, like if you have some action that you need to do every time that you start the test case, so it's gonna be nonsense if you keep drag and dropping it into this test case, right? So the most basic way for you to do that is to implement that into the test listener. So how to do that? So when you kind of create the test listener, and then you kind of put some method with the tag of annotation of before the test case or after the test case or after the test suite, then every time that you run that test case, it's gonna run that feature, that function, or that test case for you. Okay, so that's for the test listener one. Something there might be a lot of things that you are not clear, but we do have the discussion session after this one, so feel free to ask your question. Okay, so this is the time for the discussion. Young, can you have me to ask?
Yeah, sure.
To okay.
All right. So, okay. So, competitive. K. Not sure if I spell your name correctly. You want to say something?
Hello, you're still mute.
All right. We can answer the question from the chats, I think.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so there's a chat question asking that how can we pass a value from one test case to another? Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Right. Okay, so for example, we have this test case over here that, for example, if you want to log in, right? but you have multiple accounts that not this account admin, right? And you want to do the login. So all you need to do is to create the test case. So I will create the test case first. Test case 01. Okay, and I want to call the login action into my test case. But it's gonna log in with different accounts. So what I gonna do is to make this at the variable. So how to make it at the variable? So we have the tab called the variable over here. And when you want to parameterize something, you need to create a variable for that and go back to the manual view. And in the input, you need to change the value type to the variable and adding the name of that variable into here. Okay. And then when you go to another test case, so for example, I want to call this test case login with different account into this test case. Okay. Okay, my computer ran into something.
You okay, Ty? Since seem you need to.
I think that there's some internet connection. Let me reconnect a little bit. But yeah, I will get back with the question later.
All right.
All right.
Anyway, Mukesh, so I
Yes,
see.
can
Yeah,
you hear
okay.
me?
Go ahead with your question.
Okay,
Great.
my question was as he explained that how to use listeners, so it's new and interesting for me. I just wanted to ask that, okay, how to use those listener in test cases or use them.
Okay. So
Okay.
can you share your screen, or let me do that, Ty?
Yeah, I can share my screen right now. Okay. Okay, let's get back. uh, okay, when you create a test listener, uh, all right, so there's a lot of annotation inside the test listener. That's it before the test case, after the test case, and before the test suite and after the test suite, right? So if you want to do something before the test case, then you need to add this annotation in. And whenever you executing a test case, it's gonna be automatically run this one. So for example, I want to command something before the test case. So I gotta make this command hello before test case. Okay. And then I'm gonna do the simple web UI command. And okay, and right now I'm gonna run my test case over here. So that you can see in the log viewer, the first thing it's gonna do is to command the command hello everyone over here. All right, so that's how we using the test listener. It's gonna be the same for the after the test case or after the test suite. Do
So
you have
can
any
you
question?
can you show Mukesh how to associate the listener with a specific test case? I think that the question that he concerned, not
Yes.
kind of not really on the test case, but some
Okay.
specific test cases, right?
Yes. So I mean to say that if we add a listener, it's like related, it's associated with all the test cases, or is like we can specify, okay, I want to use this only for this test suite, or to specify.
Yeah, sure. You can do that. So for the test listener one, it's gonna apply on the global level. But if you
Okay.
want to apply that for the test suite, then you can do it inside the script mode in the test suite over here. So
Okay.
you got the setup of the test suite, right? So this one is gonna run before every test suite
Okay.
executing. Yeah. So for example, if you want to run the test suite, so yeah, that's gonna be a comment like hello, right? And then when you're executing this test suite, the first thing it's want to do is to comment out this one, right? Or if
Okay.
you want to do it for the test case, so if you want to do it for the test case, so the first thing you need to do is to adding a method that's called before, that's called setup for the test case. And then you need to define the setup method over here. So it's gonna be the same for the test suite one. And then you can calling the command, or yeah, for example, the real case scenario that you're gonna use it is like deleting all the data, or creating the data. So this one is the way how you do that. And you can doing the tear down. So when you're talking about the tear down, it's maybe when the test case is passed, when the test case is fail, or when the test case error. It's gonna do the specific tear down when that case happen. So for example, if the tear down is fail, so it's gonna delete all the data, right? So you can call the method to delete all the data over here. So if that's answer your question.
Yes, yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I'm gonna get back to what I'm missing just now. So there's a way for you to parameterize the common test case. Okay, so for example, I got this common page action login with different accounts. Yep. So you can see it will ask you for the input over here, right? And then you can type in the value of the variable of this one over here. So that's the way for you to parameter like that. Okay.
Okay. I want
Okay.
to ask a question about the how you can open a new tab in a browser, because the way I'm doing it right now is using JavaScript. There is another way.
Sorry. So
New tab in browser. You want to open new tab in browser, right?
Yeah, that's it.
okay. Okay, so if you want to open the new tab in browser, oh, sorry. So sorry, Young, can you help me on this? Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So
It
for
seems that yeah, maybe I have any
let,
test
let
case
me,
ready right now. So I think
okay.
we can get back to you later
No,
about that.
let me handle this. Let me handle this.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
So,
I
yeah. So just forgot a little bit on on the keyword. So basically, if you want to switch to another tab, there gonna be a keyword for you to do that. So you can switch to the window titles, or you can switch to window index, the tab index on your Chrome browser that is open at the time being. Okay. So for example, if you have navigate to the URL and it's gonna open a new tab. So the thing you need to do is to switch to the new tab, switch to another tab. Yeah. So for example, I'm gonna switch to the window titles. So for this one, I have a lot of windows, right? But I have this one with the window title is integration Katalon Studio. So all I need to do when I want to switch the tab is to input the name into that. Or you can simply using the switch to the window index, if you know the index, right?
Yeah, okay. I switch between tabs with that command, but how can I, when I open like the first step in your script, you open a browser. How can I open a new tab in that open browser?
Okay. So you want to open a new tab in the browser, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think that we're gonna get back on this one later, because normally the normal action is gonna be like click on the link and it's gonna open a new tab, and then we're gonna try to switch to another tab. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Instead of
No problem. No
wait
problem.
to open a new tab. Yes. Okay.
So yeah, I think we can get back to that later, because for the webinar we focus more about like some best practices. So I think we can should focus more on that. So sorry about that. All right. So I think I'm gonna start my second part before we get back to more Q&A section. So I think other than us, so any people who know the answer, I think is great if you can raise your hand, so we will allow you to talk and you can share with other people for what you know. So I think that's great. Let me share my screen and continue with my sections. All right. Okay, so for the second best practices that we want to introduce today is about API utilization. So I give some quick introduction about why API. So today, API, it really is on the industry trends. And we know that for any people who build applications, for now, it's not just built in desktop or web, but we would like it to have available on mobile. And even for right now, with the development with IoT, it might happen with other platform, like in your cars, in your TVs, or in any devices in your home, is on connect together. So let's say if you have to build the applications that should be available in any platform, it the way that is better you to approach that is to build the service that use API to support the application. So it means that now if you have like mobile web or other stuff working, you need to build the front end only. So on the back end will be like API, and you only need to be one back end server, and it can support all of the application that you have. So in terms of architecture, microservice is really something like a buzzword right now. At Windows, the guy in Netflix doing, they have do not have monolithic applications, because they kind of develop their application and they deploy it every day. So how to make it better? They like separate their application into smaller species, smaller modules, and each of the modules will be deployed, can be scaled up by itself. So it gives them a better way to really control their product, make them deploy faster, and have them able to scale up real quick. And between the module that in the microservice architectures, it work together via API. So that's why APIs is being used more and more today. And last but not least, this is really the eras of data. So we all know that like Facebook or Google or Amazon, the asset that the bad asset that they have right now is really data. They have data of everything. That's why they can build a lot of algorithm, a lot of things that helpful to people, and that's why it helped them to bid on of the competitor, other competitor based on their data. So how to make the data connect to each other is it work by its API. So all the things happen out there in the industry, it really in explosive development for API. So in terms of like development, for working with API is more about a ship lab trends, which means that when you have APIs and you can test, so the developer now can test their API, their own API. They don't need to wait for the tester, the QA to do that, because technically they can do that. And since the tester, since the developer can do the validation by their own, is introduce the capability to have to shorten the feedback loop. So if any problem, they can fix that immediately, not to wait for a while for like building and testing and then fix the bug. But if they do with API, they can easily and identify the problem in the beginning. So with API, it even faster and better coverage. So in terms of better coverage here, so if you test a web application or in mobile, you need to test it in many platforms. So you need to do it like on Mac or on Windows or on Chrome, Firefox, and all of the stuff that you need to do. So in iPad, so iPhone. But with API, you don't need to do that. There only one test with API, but have you cover everything. So API is really something that not only is out there because of the trend of the industry, but also will internally help the team to become a faster and better in cover the quality of the product. So for API or I mean web service in Katalon Studio, the term here is not really interchangeable. Web service is a more specific thing of API, but I think right now for making the conversation easier, we will use API at the term. So today in Katalon Studio, there are two approaches for working with API, which I will show you guys shortly. Is the manual mode that you can use the UI to create API, or the scripting mode, which is you can do it with pure script. You don't need to interact with any UI. So it depends on the flavor of the tester or the people who use Katalon Studio to pick the approach that they want. And we do them both because we know people out there, they have their own way to resolve the problem. So we have them to deal with that. So for API in Katalon Studio, it's not just about API testing, but for today, I will show you more about using API as the utility for making like the test of web, mobile, or desktop faster. So you can see here, I have a snapshot of like structure, open API 2.0. So nowadays, when the developer done with the application, the only thing that they not only handle to the QA the application by itself, but will also handle an API specification. So they will also give you a list of API out there that you can use. So let's say that now QA is only the tester not only have the application to test again, but they have a list of API. And I think this is a really powerful tool that we can leverage to make our automation test better. All right, so let me show you real quick about the two way that you can deal with API. First of all, I believe that you guys, all right, so this is the screen for you to create an API. So you can do, so one of the practice here, so you should use some kind of global variable for your base UL. I think this is a good practice that you should follow, because this is you're going to change it when you switch environment and you put it into the global variable. You can easily deal with that, right? So you can put variable here as well. Yes, this is for testing with different data that you can input to the API. And this is really for testing the request that you have. Take longer than expected. All right, I think that's fine. Secondly, you can build API with pure script. So it just let it run. So let's say if you want to create an API with script, actually you can do that by, oh, okay. There's something happened with the network. Okay. Yeah, the API keyword, and you see here everything is built with pure script. which means that for people who doesn't matter much for dealing with the UI, you can create the script immediately. So this is a more dynamic way to deal with API, that we can create a header, create body, and set on the things here. So it's the same that you do via UIs, but it's another dynamic approach. Because when you do with this, is there are more places that you can utilize the API across the application. Okay, so let's say I have an API here, and firstly create a new user by script, and then verify the created user. Okay, so when working with API, there will be some how file we store on the information of the connection that you can check in some you have problems. So we verify that the user have been created successfully with the API. All right. Let me go back to here and go to the main part. Okay, so for API utilization today, I would share with you three techniques. The first one is you test API for test data processing. Secondly, it's about replacements for a segment of UI script. And lastly, it will be using for result validations. All right, so this year, I think is if your script need to deal with data, so most of the time that you need to prepare your data. And with API, we have a tool to really deal with it very easy. So normally you prepare data, and then after execution, you clean up the data. But I think it's safer for you to clean up data at the beginning, because we don't know if any problem with execution, right? So before the execution, we should like clean up all the data to make sure we have good execution, and then we can use API for generate initial data. So of course, it's the case that you have the API, and the API can help you do that. So in the case that you do not have like the exact API that you want, you might come to the developer and ask for that. But if in case you have that, we can leverage that. So I will give a quick example about this. Let's say this is Katalon test up, the product that I told you already. So here we have a feature to create a new organization. So let's say I can input a name here, but technically we can say that it doesn't allow you to create duplicated name. So if I create a test case with a fixed name here, the second time when I run the test, it's gonna be a failure. So to deal with that, actually we have many ways to deal with that. So one of the way that we normally think about is using like some kind of timestamp here. So it create unit name that we don't afraid that it's gonna be like duplicated, but actually it introduce more problem, because it's not easy to really deal with this. You need to write script, you need to store the data, and you need to capture the name for later use. So it's not really straightforward to deal with that. And one of the ways is if you had an API to really remove the organization, you can utilize that to make it work for you. So you remove the data, clean it up before running, and then you're good. So let's say I have organization here. Yeah, so it's just a very small script that help create their organizations. Okay, so but for the second time when I run this, I will do another script. So this script do two things. First of all, it can like remove organizations with the API that I have. And secondly, I create a new organization again. So let's say this is one of the thing that you can utilize from the API if you have that. So let me run this one. So this to make sure that your script will not be broken. due to some existing data in your test environment. Okay, so actually, I believe that the script for remove organization has worked under the scene. Yeah, so we can create now. So let's say, yeah, we have the task to remove organizations with the request here is sent, and it passed, so, and it just go ahead with a new organization creation. All right, so with more API that you have, actually you can also generate initial data or do other things that's to make sure you have good execution. So in the demo that I show, it's just the small script to show you how to utilize the API to clean up data. So it helps you to focus on your core automation business without really afraid of the data can might break your test. So secondly, it's kind of like a replacement for UI script. So let's say I have a scenario where you in Katalon store, which I will introduce do to you shortly. You're gonna have the test case where you public a new plugin, and then an admin gonna approve your plugin, and you go there and install the plugin to use. So this is a very long UI script. So with a lot of interaction here, and the one of the way that you can deal with that is that you can create UAPI to public the plugin and UAPI to approve the plugin. So why we do this? Because actually here, the public new plugin and approve new plugin, you don't do it every day. So let's say it's not really an action that you need to test it over and over. And actually, if you run on of the things, it's gonna be very slow. So normally you will try to run the script on the staging environment or testing environment. You could keep it short. When you launch to production, it's the time that you need to run on the test. So in your staging or in your testing development, it will costly for you to on the time run on the script. So you have another approach here that instead of make everything in UI, you can call API to deal with that. And we test to focus on test the install the plugin behavior, because that is the behavior that user do it on the time that you want to make sure that it doesn't break. So with API, the point here is you don't need to go over the process for on the browser or on the environment. So let's say you need to do this on Mac, on Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. But for API, it's real quick, and you don't care much about the coverage that it have. You just want to make sure that, okay, the plugin is there for you to do the install. So let me run the test. Switch to the application here. All right. So I have to test with this is UI only, which is I run the test with public approve and install the plugin. Okay, let's just run that. Okay, so this is the Katalon store. You can log in with your Katalon account. When you go here, you can actually public a new plugin at the script show you what to do. So if you build a plugin, you can public that. All right. Input some information to describe the plugin, and then it will be in the draft mode, which means that you need to publish it, and then the store admin will look into and approve your plugin before it can be published to the website. So Right, so it's have been public. Now you try to look into store and install the plugin that you just public. Yeah, so technically, if you want to do a full test cases, it's what you had to run. So let's say in this case, it might take a while for running all the stuff because it's really a costly test case to run. Now we had another option for that. So we used the API to public and approve the plugin, and then we only run to test install the plugin via UI. So let's say if makes things really better for us. So that's the case that I want to share to show that with API it can help you execute tests faster. So actually it not a full UI test, but this is the tool that you can use to really have focus on automation, the thing that you want to automate the more, to save time and to make sure that we can test as much as we can in the staging and development environment, not just wait when everything is done and you go there and test on your production. So now you see if we have API that install and approve the plugin already, we only need to focus on like testing for the UI install. Okay. So I think it must be much more faster than doing with all the UI that you have. All right. So last but not least is for using API to do test result validation. So a scenario that I put here is when you install a new plugin, you call the API to really validate the plugin have been installed already. Or when you uninstall the plugin, you validate again the uninstallation. So let's say not in terms of data, not all the time you can really do it easy with UI. Or sometimes maybe the UI work, the thing broken behind the scene. So let's say you install a new plugin, maybe for some reason it said that things okay, but you haven't got the plugin yet. So let's say API will help you really cover the data that actually install into the install for user. So it provides easier way and it's safer as well. Because if you do all the validation via UI, so one day the developer just change the UI, so the test will be broken for sure. Let's say when I come here, just look for plugin, say install. Sorry, haven't looked in yet. So it's had a pop-up here, but actually I think it's not all the time that we can easily validate that with the information that we have on the UI, the plugin have installed already, right? And also here, when you like uninstall the plugin. So other than the pop-up that we see here, it's not easy to really say, like go through the list to check if the plugin have been like uninstalled already. But now, I mean, if we had an API to check whether the plugin is installed or not, it would be much more easier for us to really validate the test case. So let's say here, I really have from the developer the API to get on the plugin that I have installed. So this is the API I get from the developer. So when I run it, so I got the list about the plugin and I install. So instead of try to do the validation via UI, I'm gonna utilize this API to do the validation. So for example, real quick. Okay. Test cases, I will have a quick. Okay, so I have a test case here, would have me like log in and install the plugin. and then I call the API to validate the installed plugin. So let's say I do not really do it via UI, but I validate with API. Okay, so I think just that's it. All right, so actually it frees the mud of the practices that I want to share with you guys today. So I think we not have much time, but I really want to spend time for more Q&A sessions so we can discuss and interact on the practice and the thing we share with you guys today. Okay, so install the plugin and do a check with API. Oh, actually, need to uninstall it. So actually, I have installed the plugin already, so the script not really work as expected. Run it again. All right, but I mean, we can get back to the Q&A section to see any question that we can have you answer, or you can add question about like reuse test case as well. Okay, so from Mohammed, the question that at part of the session, how can I access some value with install in DB? So you can use test data to do with DB connection, or I can say you can make the direct connection to database with your library, and you get the value and you do check-in with database. So with Katalon Studio, you can connect to database with your test data, or you can do that with your custom keyword. Right. Okay, I think it's fine. Let's see, any people just raise your hand for the question. All right, so I'm open to you guys to talk, so just share with it the information that you want to.
Yes, hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you well.
Yes, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You showed us about the plugins. I don't really understand what the plugins are, but API is to test web service. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I mean API is a more generic and more like used term. So web service is a specific type of API. So I think to be exact, yeah. But I use
Okay.
API because it's like more generic and I mean it even shorter
I see.
to say, yeah. It doesn't mean it's interchangeable.
So I mean, so is there a way to test like a RESTful service where you need to define the request before you can? You need to know the endpoint. You need to know how to formulate the request,
Yeah.
and then eventually put some data in the request and then get a response, right?
Yes.
This part was not in today's discussion. Is that right?
Yeah, but I can. Do you want me to share something about this? About that? You want to have
If
more
you can,
detail on that?
or if there's something on your website that will.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can, or you can maybe tell me where I can find that on your website, so I can try it.
Okay, technically you can easily find it in our docs.katalon.com. So you can we have everything here. Or you can just go to Katalon Studio and try to create some request. So we have some guideline here for you as well. So I mean, you can click on the places that you have and you can access to the thing. You can click tab. It really navigate you to the place that supposed to be. Yeah,
So
attribute object.
so are there services there like free
Yeah, sure.
experiment with available?
Yeah, we had a free bucket with
There
all the
is?
functionality that you can all the thing that I done today, you can do that with the free bucket.
Okay, so there are some available services there to experiment with, to see
Yes,
how this works with Katalon
sure.
Studio,
You can
and I can find that
also,
through the help.
yeah, you can also create sample, yeah, TED project, and we have all the
Mhm.
things available for you to do experiment. Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank
anyone
you.
else?
I have one question. Can I ask it now?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, so I want to know for this REST APIs. So if I have if I have a service which works over TLS, and I need to send those requests with some certificates, is it possible, or how we need to do that with that, or is what's the idea to handle those kind of things?
So you mean that there are some certificate that you need to handle
Yes.
for sending the request?
Yeah, so my endpoints are like HTTP over HTTPS, so they are secure. So to test them, I need to include a certificate in the request. I had certificate information in the header. So how can I do that, or it's possible?
Yeah. So actually, with the UI that you have here is
Yeah.
kind of like limited for you to achieve that. But
Mm.
with the custom keyword that you have, you can technically write anything. So you can also if it's something that you can do with Java, you can also do in Catalan Studio. So I had to say that it doable. So I mean, you can find for more information on our doc and forum. For right now, I don't have the exact example for show to you, but I think you
Okay.
can, yeah, have more information.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Perfect. Thanks for the information.
Okay.
right.
There's a lot of people that's asking the question, so we will try to answer some more question before
Yeah.
it's running out of time. Then yeah, I
Okay.
think there's
So
a question about the database, so I will try to do it one. And do you want me to having a kind of a generic for the database? I can have that.
yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you can let me share my screen for a little bit, and
Right.
you can get back to that later. Okay. Okay, so we are here on the database, right? So before you want to link some of your test data to the database, you need to create a test data first, and then giving it a name like database data. And then on the data type, you need to choose for the database data, and then click on OK, and click on this edit query. So you can use the global database connection setting if, and it's gonna be inside of this setting. So yeah, basically you just need to put in your connection URL and yeah, test the connection, and when it's done, and it's done. And then you need to put in the queries. So for example, I got this database, and I put this query into my database object, and it's gonna query that thing into this data file for me. And when I want to verify, I gotta do a really simple step of call the test data and store it into a variable. I'm gonna show you in the script view because I think it's gonna be much more easier to see. So you need to find the test data and then the get value. So this number is gonna be the location of this cell. So this is the row one and column one data. So I'm gonna get the value at row one and column one, and I store it into a variable. And after that, I want to verify equal between that data and this text. And when I run it back, it's gonna show me that, okay, your test case has been failed because the expected value is gonna be John Doe instead of instead of John, right? So that's how you verify, do the verification under the database. Okay, so that's for my part.
Okay, thank you, Ty. So I think it's kind of late right now. So for the question that we haven't covered yet, we will try to do it and send to you guys later. And then we have a polling right now. So I hope that you guys can spend a little bit time to do the poll. It will really help us to improve our webinar and all the things that we provide. So I will launch the polls right now, and please have to take your answer. So it really helps us to improve and think about other improvement that we can do in order to make it better for all the people. Okay, can you guys help with the polling? Okay, great. Okay, so thank you very much for being here with us today. We hope to receive more feedback from you, and we will get back to you for more best practices in the futures.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. So, right, so I still wait for the polling. So thank you, Time.
Yeah, okay. There's a
Yeah,
lot of questions that we cannot answer live.
yeah. So,
I think maybe next time we're gonna have more interaction between the users. Like,
yes,
yeah, they got a lot of questions to ask, and
yeah, I think so.
yep. So feel free to fill in the poll, and then we're gonna have more experience to host another webinar in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. So, thank you guys. Have a good one.